Turning a corner on my short commute, face north to west in the friendly pursuit of the welcome relief of one's work being done, I find myself driving into the sun. Reaching above Foursquare on a hinge, swinging it down, try to block the orange ball of sweaty white light in my eyes. It will run as I find myself driving into the sun. Well, alright, it has to get better, at least I can squint as I tumble along. I will not be deterred, no, we've only begun, as I find myself driving into the sun. Sinking too quickly, it ducks down below. I lift in my seat, urging my neck to grow, while between mirror and pleather my vision near none. Is the light green or red? All I see is the sun. Well, alright, it has to get better, at least I can squint as I tumble along. I will not be deterred, no, we've only begun, as I find myself driving into the sun. Shimmering pieces of reflective glass fall from the mirror of the truck I can't pass in our haste to advance and our will turning numb. We trample ourselves raging against the sun. Well, alright, it has to get better, at least I can squint as I tumble along. I will not be deterred, no, we've only begun, as I find myself driving into the sun. Well, alright, it has to get better, at least I can squint as I tumble along. I will not be deterred, no, we've only begun, as I find myself driving into the sun.
Yes, because the sun is totally out right now. Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another Winchester Wednesdays. I am back. For possibly a little while. God, I hope so. Yeah, back from Painted Desert Fur Con, where I got to see and work with Fox and Peppers. That was fun. Lars made the mistake of letting me mix our microphones for a little bit. Oh, at least I didn't plug in a fan. Anyways, on that note, let's get right into the call.
On CNBC.
Oh no, I'm not ready.
Well, I found the perfect website to find out how to be ready.
Is your fan plugged in.com?
Yes, there we go. Oh, Jesus Christ, Winchester. Do not plug fans in while they're switched on, you dumbass. Luckily, we got Datsmore here who can lecture you about inrush current.
Oh, Faraday
I
already
can
did.
lecture you about a number of things.
Yeah, like the power of 1 and 2.
1 and 2. All rise while the power of 1 and 2. Those of you believing in 3, please stay seated.
And 4 is right out!
I'm sorry, what's a 2? The world is made of 1s and 0s.
Quantum computing.
Blasphemer.
Oh my god.
Let us
No,
all
Winchester.
bow our
Fetal
heads
lips.
and pray for those who do not believe power of 1 and 2 and believe in the other numbers which may lead them astray. 0s, 3s. Some even believe in a 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Brony Church with Reverend Datsmore.
I love this church, man.
So, anyways,
Well, almost, but not quite as much as I love the Love Supreme Church.
so
I'm
anyways,
sorry, I'm from the cult of 0. I can't. Yeah.
so anyways,
no.
we'll get introductions out of the way here really quick. So, starting off, we have my lovely co-host, Crazy Mac Captain and Skyrays.
Hello.
Negative shoutouts to Steam. I want to make event notices.
Let's see what happens when I send double R images like that one.
And next up, we have our wonderful fanfic editor, Double R.
I could think of like 2 or 3 more pieces to add to make it a good collection.
Awesome.
And next up, we have our lovely narrator, Larsus.
Today we're going to talk about the shares of SoftBank that they've sold in NVIDIA. That's $3.6 billion investment in NVIDIA. NVIDIA closed up 2%. Chipotle shares jump after company crushed earnings estimates, earning more than 4% above earnings estimates from last year.
Shit, I gotta call my stockbroker!
This just in from ABC 10.
Alrighty.
Ugh.
And next up, we have Marzi.
My boyfriend broke up with me because I kept pretending to be a transformer, but I told him I could change.
And speaking of people who can change, we have Datsmore.
And now today in weather, Bay City has some lovely fog rolling in from the northeast, but we should expect that to clear up by about 9 p.m. The rest of the day we'll have about 75 and sunny.
Where are you having 75 and sunny?
Phoenix,
It's
Bay
cold
Area.
out.
It's the Bay Area. The sunny. It's always great in the Bay Area. Do you ever see it rain in the Bay Area? No, you don't. Fog is all they get.
Don't come to Chicago.
I'm
Ever.
gonna be
Where are
going
you
next
talking
week.
about?
We went
Of course
from
I'm not gonna come to
negative
Chicago. Y'all think
55
that Lake Michigan's
degrees
yours.
to 50 degrees, then back down to 10, had freezing rain, had half an inch of ice
Hey.
on everything, immediately
Yeah.
froze
Yes,
back
you
up
do.
again, and then got warm again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm saying,
it was
I had
like
to break up some of the ice
5 to
today.
60.
I'm right across the lake. I'm in Michigan. It wasn't as bad, but I actually enjoyed it.
Hey,
Right,
Datsmore,
I
I'm
think
gonna be
you're,
up. I'm
you're
gonna be
on
up
the
in
other
Milwaukee.
side of the mitten from me, aren't you?
What you gonna be up in Milwaukee for?
Amkey.
Stay
Yeah,
out.
as it turns out, they want me to do networking up there, and so I'm going to do networking.
Networking. Wait.
So,
hold on.
I've got a bit of news
some
on
help
my
out there?
end.
I talked to Senshi.
Senshi.
So I got a bit of news on my end. One personal and one just sort of random. I got a call today from a district manager for the Illinois area for my current job, and they want me to move out to Western Illinois near Quincy and Galesburg area for a new job opportunity that's out there.
Okay.
You probably won't see me around the depending on how things go, I may end up not going to Ciderfest or Windy City this year, but I'm definitely going to try to make BronyCon.
I am going to try for all 3 of those.
Yay! So, in any case, where were we at Winchester with people?
Yeah, we kind of lost track.
I think that was
Oh,
everyone.
we're done.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're
that
done.
was everyone.
Oh,
We're done, unless I happen to pull in 2 more really quick.
Oh,
Oh no.
Wait, what? 2 more
we've
what?
all been capping? Winchester, what did you do to the stream that we're all capping?
I don't know.
Stop
Audio
breaking things.
changes every single fucking time we do this, so I've
Well,
just
there
given up
goes
by
our
now.
PG rating, Winchester.
I've literally just given up by now. Yeah, all levels to full.
Hey, you're not
That
touching
worked
my
for me.
mic.
Let us start off with that song, huh?
Actually, it looks like, according to the meters, I'm a little bit lower than you guys, so yeah.
Commander something. It's probably just you because levels are fine on my end.
Yeah,
Well, levels might be fine now because he's apparently adjusted them.
All levels at once?
Yes, all levels at once.
Hold on. Bah?
Humbug.
Humbug.
Go. Come on.
Ray.
Wrong
Yeah, there was an
direction.
echo.
Go fuck
Yeah,
yourself.
Winchester, I was just listening to the stream. I heard myself through your microphone.
So, Winchester, we ready to start?
Well, apparently not, because I have to go find something that'll cancel out your voices from my mic, because I don't have my headphones.
There's a mute button.
OBS has
How come
one.
all these are unplugged anyway? Shouldn't they all like just stay where they are?
No, because I only have one set of... Well, I have 2 sets of headphones, but one's at the church and the other's at work.
It's called a headset. That's what Commander said.
I don't have a headset. Also, all my headsets I did have are USB,
Also-
and USB doesn't plug into a cord.
Commander, what's an indoor voice?
OBS has this thing where you can actually put a noise cap, so it doesn't have any noise unless you speak loud enough.
You mean a gate?
Yeah, that works too.
Yay.
They don't call it a gate. I don't know what I forgot.
They
what
don't like
Red
don't let
Bull?
me call them.
They definitely call it a
turn-
gate. The issue is I couldn't get it set, like, it's loud enough that I can't ever get it quite set right. I would like to get a 935 and try it out in my setup for streaming sometime, but I just haven't had the money to go and grab one.
But Winchester, you know what's a lot cheaper than a 935 and does a much better job of isolating voices from all that?
What?
Headphones.
He just said he doesn't.
I mean, I have headphones and it still has some echo. But I also have open backed headphones, so.
Yeah, that's why I have my amp turned down so that it doesn't feed back to you guys. I also have a gate set.
Yeah, same. I've got a gate with a compression filter.
Yep. So,
They're
choosing
using
a corner on
terminology
short
that I
commute,
don't know.
Face north to west in the friendly pursuit of the warm welcome relief of one's work being done, I find myself driving into the sun. Reaching above for a square on a hinge, swinging it down to block the orange ball of sweaty wet light in my eyes, it will run as I find myself driving into the sun. Well, all right. It has to get better. At least I can squint as I tumble along. I will not be deterred, no, we've only begun, as I find myself driving into the sun.
What is wrong with you?
I think he's reading a poem.
Oh, isn't that the
What's
song?
wrong with him?
Yes, that is. There we go.
No, it's
I
the
was
moon.
about to say. It sounds very familiar.
Sinking too quickly, it ducks down below. I lift my seat, urging my neck to grow, while between mirror and pleather, my vision near none. Is the light green or red? All I see is the sun. Well, all right. It has to get better. At least I can squint as I tumble along. I will not be deterred, no, we've only begun, as I find myself driving into the sun. Shimmering pieces of reflective glass fall from the mirror of the truck I can't pass. In our haste to advance and our will turning numb, we trample ourselves, raging against the sun.
I think we're like distracting ourselves from the fact that Winchester's still trying to fix things.
Well, no, actually,
Yeah.
Lars doing this is actually extremely helpful at the moment.
Capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues. The 20-meter pacer test will begin in 30 seconds.
Can't we just drive into the sea? I'm sure it would be a lot more fun. It might kill an engine, but it'll be fun.
Let's see how far I can get into this one before Winchester tells me to stop. My neighbors asked me why I'm limping down the way. And who that fellow was that came by yesterday.
Come on, people. You're good, man.
Right off the bat, you just had to say the first 4 words, and I knew what was going on.
As did I.
Wait,
I
is
quickly
actually
turn my
Duty Call?
face before I start to blush, because frankly, there is nothing I can say. He hasn't told me to stop yet, guys, by the way.
Just go. Just do it.
No.
I've always had a thing for pushing the extremes.
Don't make
And
me
I've got
mute you.
just a thing you won't find in the magazines.
That's where you stop.
Hey,
That's
hey,
where I
hey, what's
stop.
the stop?
Yeah, that's where you stop before I pull out the mute button.
Yeah.
Our audience is confused. We need to tell them what you were going to say.
Whatever you do, do not type BD jingle into YouTube.
Yeah, please don't.
What I was going to read was Chipotle
All right.
shares jump after economy crushes earnings estimates as pace of turnaround accelerates.
Jingle?
Chipotle
Alrighty.
on Wednesday reported quarterly earning. Okay,
Yeah, I think I've got it set now. So.
yay,
Uh,
yay! I can finally stop reading CNBC, is what you're saying.
Yes. So.
Chat, I mean Toa, do you hear an echo? Are we sounding good?
Yep.
As long as you guys don't
Whoa.
like fucking scream, then yes, it'll be fine.
All right.
I don't
Alright.
understand that.
All right, in that case, then let's be fine.
Actually, that sounds like a really good idea.
No, it sounds like a really
Yeah.
bad idea.
Yeah,
You
hold
should
on.
never
All I have
actually
is
bring
bourbon
stuff up
mash.
voice acting.
Oh, all this delay gave me just enough time to eat all my soup and bagels.
There's not enough time for me to make a white Russian, so I'll have to just do this sober.
Oh God, Double R's doing sober.
Oh god. So, alrighty. So I guess I've switched over. So yeah. Rules of reading. Remember, everybody, keep your mics muted when you're not reading. Yeah. Other than that, Larsus, take us away.
All right, taking us away tonight. We are going to be reading the 7th episode, because there's multiple chapters per episode, of 3 Gems and a Scooter. I will be your narrator, Larsus. Double R will be playing Sweetie Belle, Scarlet, and Dr. Sunshine, which sounds like something that I would go behind the Marriott in Baltimore to buy by the ounce. CMC will be reprising the role of Scootaloo. Marzi is to be Apple Bloom. Rainbow Dash will be played by Skyrays. Datsmore joins us again as a very manly rarity. Winchester is Applejack, no surprises there. And Marzi's double classing as Fluttershy for 2 lines. So look out for those. This is 3 Gems and a Scooter by Raylan Krios. Not to be confused with Thane Krios, who died in Mass Effect 3. A start. It was noon before Rarity and Scootaloo had a chance to tell any of their friends about their decision to move forward with the adoption. The Crusaders were congregating around their favorite lunch spot. Scootaloo had been late to school thanks to meeting with Autumn and desperately trying to furtively sneak in a conversation during a history lesson. Lunch was their first opportunity to talk about where she was yesterday and this morning. She didn't really want to explain her whereabouts yesterday, quickly glossing over her visit with Lily, but she did describe how she and Rarity had visited Full Service's office that morning. Sweetie Belle let out a high-pitched noise that could only be accurately described as a squee. She instantly pounced on Scootaloo with a hug so fierce a bystander may have mistaken it for an attacker rather than a spontaneous display of affection.
We're family now, Scoots!
Scootaloo gently pried Sweetie off of her.
Not really.
What are you talking about?
Rarity can change her mind for a year before they make it official, so until then I'm still just a foster kid.
All morning long, she had tried to hide her disappointment. When Autumn told them that finalizing her adoption including a mandatory year of observation, and when Rarity's protest was quickly dismissed as she acquiesced, Scootaloo just smiled and nodded. On the walk to school, where Rarity assured her that the year-long gap between her decision and being officially adopted was just a formality, Scootaloo tried to pretend that it wasn't like every other time she had heard that speech. And now, she was pretending that she didn't truly believe that 6 months from now, she'd be looking for yet another place to call home.
Rarity isn't going to change her mind.
Scootaloo didn't have it in her to explain to Sweetie that ponies, who started to adopt her, always ended up going back on that decision. Inside, she was practically screaming, "Ponies always change their mind. You two are the ones who don't." But Sweetie and Apple Bloom didn't deserve that kind of sniping. They were her friends, and though she doubted a great many things in her life, she never doubted that.
I'm still not calling you Auntie Sweetie.
I know.
Bug?
Narcissus?
Scootaloo repeated with a perfectly deadpan expression. Sweetie threw her forelegs up in surrender.
No.
Run
No.
port.
They're one.
Huh?
Bottom of the previous page.
Ah, wow. Sorry, I skipped past that. Well, Sweetie's going to roll her eyes. In response, Scootaloo is going to fix her friend with a firm stare.
I will never call you Auntie Sweetie.
I know. Jeez, Scoots, you don't have to tell me twice.
Never.
That line I said earlier.
Okay, fine. It wouldn't kill you to say it just once.
Before she could dwell on her disappointment, Apple Bloom wrapped a foreleg around both of them with a big smile.
This is great.
You're not jealous? Because now that we've got Scoots, my family's pretty awesome.
Sweetie's question caused Scootaloo to blush and Apple Bloom to roll her eyes.
Nah, I've already got a great family. And you've got one too. Not that we weren't great before, I mean.
Apple Bloom waved her hooves, desperately grasping at an elusive way to save face.
If you two were family, that just means the Crusaders are even closer than ever.
Having broken the news to her friends, Scootaloo quickly set about trying to find the quickest way away from the conversation.
How about we see if we can get a game of football going? I think Lily and Twist want to play. If we can get Rumble, then we can play 3-on-3.
She dashed off before her friends could possibly object. While Scootaloo was informing her friends of the result of her decision, Rarity was doing the same. Left entirely to her own devices, Rainbow Dash wouldn't have been the first choice of friends to tell. She would have rather talked to Fluttershy, maybe Applejack. But if Scootaloo was going to be part of her life now, that meant Rainbow needed to be a bigger part of it, too.
Wow, you really adopted her. Just like that? You're her mom?
Rarity balked at Rainbow's remark for a few reasons, not the least of which being the agreement to put the mom label on the shelf for now.
It's not quite that simple. There's a year-long evaluation before full services will complete the adoption.
Rarity spoke with no small trace of annoyance. Like Scootaloo, it wasn't so much the weight as it was the implication that she was going to be judged.
As it is now, I'm merely her foster parent.
Rainbow took a bite of her apple.
That still seems like a big deal.
I suppose it is.
How's she doing? Do you think she'd like a flying lesson or something?
Rainbow tried to phrase the question as just an offhanded remark, but the fact that she stopped eating her apple as she asked the question gave her away.
I dare suggest that she wants more from you than a flying lesson.
Rarity thought this, but held her tongue. Though she still harbored a healthy amount of resentment, she'd already acknowledged that Rainbow's reasons for not adopting were sound. But Scootaloo was in a vulnerable state right now. Mixed messages were practically guaranteed to do more harm than good.
I'm sure she would, but I fear this whole ordeal has been a lot for her to process. To be perfectly honest with you, dear, I think she needs time to come with terms with the fact that you don't want to adopt her.
Rainbow Dash bristled openly, setting her jaw and tensing her shoulder muscles.
You know, dear, I'm not here to pick a fight with you, and I think she very much still wants you to be part of her life. Just give her a little time.
Oh, okay, but like, how much time? I meant it when I told her I want to spend more time with her.
I know you did, but you need to let her approach you. She'll do it when she's ready.
But, shouldn't I show her that I was serious? I don't want her to think I'm blowing her off.
Another biting remark along the lines of, "You mean like all the other times you actually did blow her off?" nearly escaped Rarity's lips. But again, she held back.
I hate to say it, Rainbow Dash, but I fear that you may be somewhat of a sore point for her right now. She's already going through a lot, and, well, being reminded of how much you wanted to adopt her, or she wanted you to adopt her, would do more harm than good.
Rainbow Dash groaned, whether out of guilt or annoyance. Rarity couldn't be quite sure.
Fine, I guess you're a mom now. That means you probably know what's best for her.
Rarity had no response. Pinky reacted to the news as she reacted to most things, offering to throw a party, which Rarity made her promise not to do until the adoption was finalized. Twilight seemed intent on studying both her and Scootaloo as part of some sort of analysis with regard to cross-race adoption, until Rarity pointedly reminded her that she was not a research subject. After that, Twilight was her usual overly helpful self, offering both full use of the library as well as navigating any bureaucracy. Rarity briefly considered asking for some sort of royal decree waiving the 1-year observation period, but then it occurred to her that aside from being unfair to other ponies struggling through the adoption process, it would be unfair to Scootaloo. It was apparent that Scootaloo craved some semblance of permanence in what had been a chaotic young life, but there was a reason the appropriate metaphor was to put down roots. Roots grew over time. Trees took nurturing before they became an inextricable part of their environment. So if Scootaloo was ever going to feel like she truly belonged, then Rarity needed to take it slow. Fluttershy's reaction was the most predictable. She took in all manner of house guests to bait, none of them ponies. She offered Rarity the usual platitudes about making sure she took some time for herself and letting Scootaloo find her own comfort zone rather than forcing anything. And of course, she offered to Philly sit or talk if Rarity ever needed anything, which left Applejack. Rarity found her heart thumping faster than normal as she approached Sweet Apple Acres, and it had nothing to do with the walk. It was because the word family was not one thrown around lightly at Sweet Apple Acres. Rarity has already seen the lengths Applejack would go in support of any of the Apple clan, and that knowledge made her feel inadequate. She knew she wanted Scootaloo as part of her family, as much as for her benefit as Scootaloo's, but so far it had been on her terms. She hadn't had to sacrifice anything other than some sleep and being late with a few orders and a few bits for dance lessons. What if one day she had to give up something she really wanted? Applejack would say yes in a heartbeat. Applejack let out a low whistle as Rarity finished her story.
Wow. Mighty big thing there, Rares.
I'm muted, aren't I? Yes, well, I figured you should know.
Mind if I offer you some advice?
Please.
Being a parent ain't like other things. Got a good head on your shoulders, even far too much time conditioning that mane on top of it.
Now, just because I refuse to wash my hair only once a month with mane and tail...
The point is, it ain't gonna be like taking care of Sweetie for a weekend. Now there's gonna be more give and take, and a few nights of sleep and
Is it worth it?
Rarity blurted out before Applejack could finish her thought. She immediately chastised herself for the callousness of her question. Regardless, she looked toward her friend for an answer anyway.
I mean...
She stuttered, hoping to mitigate how terrible the question sounded in her head. In response, Applejack let out a soft, gentle-sounding chuckle.
It is, Sugar Cube. I wouldn't give anything, I'd give anything to have my parents back. Wouldn't trade anything, or I wouldn't trade my relationship with them for anything. That makes it.
Rarity returned home from Sweet Apple Acres to find Scootaloo puttering around the kitchen, a blank expression on her face. Scootaloo didn't seem upset, but she did seem troubled.
Is something wrong, dear?
Scootaloo wheeled around. If there was any evidence that Scootaloo had warmed up to Rarity, it was that she didn't shy away from an honest answer.
Sorry. I just thought things would change. I've never really had a choice, and I kind of thought that by making one, things would be different.
In what way?
I just thought maybe this place would start to...
Scootaloo's voice grew faint as though her words could blow away the wisp of smoke that was her hope.
feel like home.
Rarity couldn't hide her feelings of disappointment, biting her tongue to prevent her from making any audible noises. Ever since she first invited Scootaloo to stay with her, she had endeavored to make the boutique a welcoming place. To hear that Scootaloo didn't consider it home was more than a little hurtful. But she also couldn't entirely blame her for not embracing the boutique. For Scootaloo, more than most ponies, perhaps more than any pony, home was a loaded word.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice and all, but it still feels like your kitchen. And outside is your living room and your dress shop. And even the bedroom upstairs still feels like yours that you let me stay in.
Well, the dress shop is mine.
As soon as Rarity said that, she noticed Scootaloo's shoulders begin to slump.
But maybe we can do something about the rest of the house?
Scootaloo tilted her head to the left ever so slightly.
What do you mean?
Let's see.
Rarity's eyes darted back and forth, glancing around for something that didn't have her own personal flourishes. Unfortunately, there were very few things in her carefully cultivated and arranged kitchen that fit that criteria. Finally, she got an idea. Rarity picked out a drawer near her stove, roughly equal to Scootaloo's height, and emptied its contents onto the counter.
There! This is now your drawer.
Scootaloo looked skeptical, wrinkling her nose. But she also didn't scowl.
A drawer?
I understand that this place may not feel like yours, but when I moved it, it really didn't feel like mine either. I remember when we said that we would work together to make this place feel you welcome? Make this a place you feel welcome?
Scootaloo nodded.
So here's a start. And if it's been a few more days and you're not feeling more at home, we can try something else, okay?
But Scootaloo still wore the same perplexed expression.
Start what?
That's your drawer, and you may put your things in there.
But all my stuff is already in the guest room.
That's your room now, Scootaloo.
Scootaloo let the correction roll off her with a small shrug.
It's not like I have any kitchen stuff anyway.
Rarity was forced to concede that Scootaloo was right about that particular point.
Home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's also about the little things. I dare suggest I have more than enough silverware. Why don't you pick out some that you would like, and that can be your very own set for your very own drawer in what is now your kitchen?
Scootaloo didn't seem convinced that selecting some kitchen utensils was going to do anything, really, but she didn't feel like arguing. She began to rummage through the silverware drawer until she found some pieces that didn't look like they came from a dollhouse.
Can I have this one?
Scootaloo held up a rather Spartan-looking spoon.
You may have whichever ones you wish.
But what if I take your favorite stuff?
Rarity may have been generous, but she was also very particular, and Scootaloo really didn't want to fight about spoons and knives to be the reason she was sent packing early.
I dare suggest that I am not so petty as to be upset over something as trifling as a fork. I would very much like you to feel that this is your home, and as much as mine. If some silverware would help you do that, it seems like a worthwhile sacrifice.
Scootaloo just sighed, but continued to pick out a few of the less ornate pieces that Rarity had collected over the years. But as she collected a full set, mismatched though they were, Rarity could swear she saw Scootaloo release some of the tension she carried around constantly. She even noticed the faintest hint of a smile as Scootaloo organized her drawer, offering a satisfying and affirmative nod as she closed it. Why would you do that? Scootaloo buzzed home from the dance practice on her scooter, exuberant. Rarity had become her foster mom a month ago, and since that time, Scootaloo had acquired her own set of towels, some dishes, and a few more pictures for her walls in her room. But there were a few sleepless nights of worry, but she hadn't cried in a few weeks. The Carousel Boutique still wasn't home, but it felt like something close. But right now, at this instant, that didn't matter, because she had her very own dance solo in an actual show. She could be staying at an orphanage with horribly abusive caretakers, and it would have lessened the smile on her face one bit. The advanced class was preparing for a show, and Toe Tapper announced the roles at the end of the rehearsal. Despite not being in class for very long, Scootaloo had been cast as one of the featured performers. It wasn't the lead of the big closing number, and it wasn't one of the featured tandem, but it was still a solo, and was more than most ponies could say about their roles. Scootaloo burst into the main room at Carousel Boutique.
Rarity, I got a lead. I get my very own solo.
That's wonderful, dear. I'm very proud of you, and I want to hear all about it over dinner.
Confused by Rarity's not wanting to hear all about it right at this moment, Scootaloo looked around and finally noticed the red-coated mare standing in front of the mirror with contrasting white and black fabric swatches with an expression that read as more than a little annoyed.
Oh, sorry.
Scootaloo, this is Scarlet. Scarlet, this is my daughter, Scootaloo.
Though they had agreed not to use the mom label, introducing Scootaloo as her daughter was the most straightforward way of explaining their relationship. This is the filly I've adopted, but it's not final yet, and we're not comfortable with the mom and daughter label. Regardless, that is the appropriate nature of our relationship was a little too unwieldy.
It's very nice to meet you, Scootaloo.
Nice to meet you too. I hope you get a nice dress, miss.
She turned toward the kitchen, slightly embarrassed, but still intent on celebrating with a snack. Scarlet waited until the door to the kitchen closed before speaking again.
I didn't know you had a daughter. You poor dear. You must have had her so young.
Scarlet turned her attention to a bluish fabric swatch while Scootaloo retreated for a mere shot. The judgmental implication clearly evident. Rarity bristled at the condescension, as though it was any pony's business how old she might have been when she had her non-existent foal.
She's adopted.
Her client visibly released the tension in her shoulders, which Rarity found more condescending than her original choice of words.
Oh, poor thing. It was awfully kind of you to take her in, considering.
Rarity ceased to do anything other than look at her client with an icy stare. Rarity's glare wasn't as famed as the stare from Fluttershy, nor did it have the threat of physical violence behind it the way a glare from Rainbow Dash would. Regardless, when Rarity fixed her icy blue eyes on a pony, it was unnerving.
What I mean is to say is that, you know, her not knowing her real family and all. I can't imagine what that would be like for her.
From in the kitchen, Scootaloo heard those words and froze where she stood, a fresh wave of doubt crashing over her. She slumped down against the fridge as she was reminded that Rarity's client was right. Rarity wasn't her real family. Her real family had abandoned her, and so she was never really going to have a real family. These last few months were just a temporary illusion. But because she couldn't move, she also heard what came next.
Excuse me?
I didn't mean to imply that you're not a good mother. I'm sure you're doing a wonderful job considering the circumstances, but, well, it can't really be the same for her.
More than a hint of steel crept into Rarity's voice.
I believe we are done here.
She lowered the floating measuring tape down on the table.
But you haven't finished my fitting. You didn't even measure my neck.
Trust me, you don't want me anywhere near your neck with anything that could fit around it. I'm terribly sorry, but I don't think I'll be able to make a dress that suits you. Perhaps you should try Filthy Barnyard's boutique. Bargains.
Rarity didn't bother to mask the increasing level of disgust she was feeling. Scarlet noted a very audible and muttered something including the phrase overpriced rags before storming out, slamming the door behind her. Rarity said about putting away the measuring tools she no longer needed, and Scootaloo slowly walked back into the showroom. Rarity saw her adopted daughter and brightly smiled, Scootaloo's presence helping wash away the previous negativity.
Was there something else you needed, dear?
She was gonna buy a dress.
It took Rarity a moment to realize whom Scootaloo was referring to, having already dismissed Scarlet into the portion of her brain that housed ponies she would never need to remember.
Who? You mean Scarlet?
She was gonna buy something and you kicked her out.
Scootaloo repeated the events as she understood them.
I didn't really.
Yes, you did. You kicked her out just because she said I would never have a real family. Why would you do that?
Her tone wasn't angry. Rather, it was one of someone struggling to understand what happened. Had Scarlet threatened her or said something truly awful, Scootaloo might have been able to fit that into her understanding of how the world worked. But she couldn't make her interpretation of the facts fit that narrative. All Scarlet had done was told the truth, and even if Rarity was aware it was an unpleasant truth likely to hurt Scootaloo's feelings, that was still no reason to forego a commission. Bits were important, certainly more important than her feelings.
Because Scarlet is a boorish, uncouth, haughty cloud brain who doesn't know what in Tartarus she's talking about.
Rarity covered her mouth as the slur unintentionally slipped past.
But you would have gotten paid.
Scootaloo tried to comprehend the mechanics of what she had just heard. Rarity studied Scootaloo, and yet again in a countless number of little moments she felt her heart break a little more as she watched Scootaloo wrestle with the idea that her feelings were worth far more than whatever profit Rarity would have received from the dress's sale.
Perhaps, but
But you didn't, and it's my fault.
it's not your fault.
Yes, it is. If you hadn't adopted me, I would never walk in. You
Would have probably kicked her out for a different reason. I have quite enough clients who aren't judgmental.
Rarity stopped herself before she completed her thought.
There are some words a lady shouldn't say in polite company. The point is that I wouldn't change a thing about adopting you, and you don't for 1 second think otherwise.
Rarity seemed genuinely angry with her former client. Actually made Scootaloo feel better, but it didn't answer her question.
But she's right. We'll never be a real family. Why do you even bother?
Because we are family. Not by blood, perhaps, but that doesn't mean that I love you any less than a biological parent would.
But how? Why? How could you?
Rarity softened her voice and directed Scootaloo to look at one of the many mirrors in her shop.
You don't see yourself like I do, and I wish so much that you could. You don't see the wonderful, talented, special, frankly amazing filly that I'm so happy to see every day.
Scootaloo crossed her forelegs and looked away from the reflection.
I'm not any of those things. If I were, I would have a real family, just like she said.
You'll pardon the indulgence. I consider myself to be quite the judge of character. If I say you are wonderful, talented, and special, then you are.
If you say so.
She still seemed unconvinced.
I do. Now that's enough of that. What's this I heard about you getting a solo?
Scootaloo's dance recital wasn't for a few months, and in the interim, life proceeded as normal. To Rarity's delight, there weren't any threats to Equestria requiring the elements of harmony to again band together, nor did Twilight's map call her away to mediate any friendship disputes. In the absence of existential threats, Rarity focused on her business and trying to make Scootaloo accept that she finally found a home. The business side was going fine. Sassy Saddles was proving to be an adept store manager in the Canterlock location of the Carousel Boutique, and her shop in Ponyville continued to have its robust stream of customers. A few investors had approached her about opening up a Manhattan branch and possibly explaining to Prance. But even if she didn't have a new family to care for, Rarity wasn't ready to expand her business yet. Still, it was nice to think about it as a possible future endeavor. But no matter how busy she got, Thursday afternoon spa treatments with Fluttershy were now a sacred covenant, only to be broken under the most dire circumstances. Fluttershy dropped another ladle of water onto the hot rocks, the resulting steam momentarily obscuring her vision as the pair eased into the lounge chair sauna, letting the heat wash over them.
How's Scootaloo doing?
Fluttershy asked as she wrapped a towel around her mane.
She's doing well, I think. She's still closed off, and I know that's just how she is, and I don't expect her to pour her heart out. But it'd be nice if I didn't have to dig quite so much.
Fluttershy nodded, being familiar with both the Scootaloo's attitude and what it was like to wall oneself off.
She'll come around. I mean, do you remember how shy I was when you first met me? And how I can sing on stage and everything, only if no one's watching, of course.
I suppose you are right, dear. Anyways, that's enough of that. This is supposed to be a relaxing afternoon. What do you say to a couple of mud masks? My treat.
Rarity returned home from the spa, much more serene than when she left, until she walked through the door, and all the stress that had been massaged away came flooding back. From the foyer, she could see that there existed a pile of dough-caked bowls in the sink. When she walked into the kitchen, that was only part of the mess. The floor was caked in a thin layer of flour, and what could only be generously described as a cake sat half-frosted on the counter. It wasn't the first time she'd come home to a messy kitchen. Sometimes it was Crusader business, others just Scootaloo wanting a snack. At first, Rarity tried to be understanding. Just do better next time, okay? She had tried being diplomatic. Remember how we talked about trying a little harder to put your dishes away? But this time, she was in no mood to be either.
I'm yelling this, but obviously I'm not yelling.
Scootaloo!
Rarity bellowed at the top of her lungs. In a few moments, Scootaloo came bounding down the stairs, an annoyed expression on her face.
Scootaloo, would you like to explain to me why my kitchen is a mess?
We were trying to get bacon cutie marks.
Scootaloo spoke as though that was a perfectly valid explanation.
I see. And did you not think of maybe cleaning up your mess?
Rarity's anger was starting to boil over. Scootaloo shrugged.
I'll do it later. You promised not to make me do chores all the time.
This isn't about doing your chores. This is your kitchen too, and I expect you to take some small measure of pride in how it looks.
At the remark, Scootaloo arched her back ever so slightly and dug her front hooves into the floor.
If it's my kitchen, then I'm fine with a few dirty dishes in the sink. Everything doesn't have to be spotlessly clean all the time.
Scootaloo, if you don't clean up your mess right now, so help me.
When she was younger, her mother used a similar threat. Looking back, Rarity had always thought it was because the unknown was more terrifying than any possible punishment. But now she knew that it was because she simply didn't know how to finish that sentence. But Scootaloo neither moved toward the counter nor did she say anything, and Rarity's anger clouded her judgment enough to where she couldn't distinguish the expression on Scootaloo's face. She groaned in frustration, releasing a most unladylike grunt.
Just go. I don't want to see you right now.
Rarity was too angry to notice Scootaloo's eyes growing wider before she turned around and sprinted up the stairs. But she didn't hear the very telltale slam of Scootaloo's bedroom door. It wasn't as though Scootaloo's being upset didn't concern her, but a mess in the kitchen presented a more dire issue. She sighed and magically pulled her mop from the corner while she began to scour the more stubborn remnant of dried dough off of her mixing bowls. She seethed as she swept the crumbs from the countertops. She was practically boiling by the time she wrung the mop free of the last bits of floury residue from the floor. Scootaloo was grounded, that much was certain. The only question was whether it was if she would be allowed to see the light of day before she graduated high school. And she was definitely not allowed to ride her scooter for the next year. That seemed fair. Rarity wasn't so cruel as to tell her she couldn't interact with her friends, but for the foreseeable future, that would be restricted to school and letter writing. Finally, Scootaloo was going to spend her entire weekend scouring every last nook and cranny in the boutique, using only a toothbrush. The evening grew later, and Scootaloo still didn't emerge from her room. Rarity had calmed down by this point. For once, she decided against taking Scootaloo's scooter away. That seemed disproportionate, and the orange filly would be allowed to see the light of the sun again after a week, and no, she wasn't about to make her clean the entire house with a toothbrush. But Rarity did feel as though she was owed some form of apology, so she busied herself sketching designs until Scootaloo saw fit to offer one. Eventually, Rarity grew tired of waiting for Scootaloo to see the error of her ways and took the initiative herself. She made a concerted effort to push down any residual anger she was feeling. Scootaloo needed to be held accountable, but it did no pony any good if she instigated another screaming match. Rarity reached the door and softly knocked 3 times.
Scootaloo?
Go away. I don't want to see you right now.
Scootaloo called from behind the locked door, echoing Rarity's sentiments from earlier.
That may be true, but I wish to see you.
An afternoon with Twilight had calibrated all the locks on Rarity's house to respond to her particular magical energy resonance. It was more practice for Twilight, but Rarity did like the thought that she could open any door in her house. A quick horn flare was all it took before she heard the telltale thunk of the bolt sliding back and the door properly entered. Scootaloo had assumed the posture familiar to parents everywhere, lying on her stomach with her face buried in her pillow. Upon hearing the creak of the door, she looked over her shoulder, her eyes bloodshot.
Just say it.
Say what?
That this isn't working out and you want me to be happy and that you think it'd be best for both of us if you wrote to Autumn and told him to start looking for somebody else to adopt me.
And with that, Rarity's idea to punish Scootaloo was stopped dead in its tracks.
That's what you think I came here to say?
I don't know.
As Scootaloo said, that last bit of self-control she had crumbled, leaving a quivering feeling in the place of the defiant Scootaloo that had been there before.
I'm sorry.
Scootaloo choked through the tears. Before Rarity could say anything, Scootaloo continued, her words difficult to discern through her muffled sobs.
I'm sorry, okay? Please don't. I'm sorry.
Faced with the heart-wrenching scene, Rarity couldn't do anything other than open her forelegs to invite Scootaloo in for a hug. Scootaloo hesitated only for a second before she stumbled forward and buried herself in Rarity's coat. Rarity was taken back by the desperation that Scootaloo clung to her. She didn't say anything for a full minute. Instead, slowly stroking Scootaloo's soft purple mane gingerly.
It's okay. I'm sorry too.
Scootaloo instantly froze, the words "I'm sorry" having been offered as a precursor to bad news far too often. I'm sorry that you're not happy. I'm sorry that this isn't going to work. I'm sorry, but I can't adopt you. She let out a pitiful yelp that caused Rarity to squeeze her in a gesture of reassurance.
I owe you an apology. The way I reacted was, well, it was completely uncalled for.
Scootaloo fidgeted from within the embrace, her tail shaking and her ears pinned back against her head, unsure what to say to avoid instigating anything further. Rarity continued.
But I'm also sorry that the first thing that comes to mind when I raise my voice is that you think I'm considering giving you up.
Well, you are, aren't you?
Her voice was still ragged, but the briefest hint of fire flashed in her eyes.
No, I'm not. And I wouldn't dream of it either.
Do you really mean that?
Those 5 words set off an epiphany. For the last 4 months, Rarity had been telling herself that her strategy of being patient was working. Slow going as it may be, eventually Scootaloo would realize that she had found a family, and then all her self-esteem problems would disappear. But now it was apparent that her prognostication was flawed. Skulu's fear of abandonment ran far deeper than just needing some superficial sense of security, which meant that Skulu would need actual, professional help. But now wasn't the time to dwell on that. She still had an emotionally distraught Philly to comfort.
Of course I do.
Rarity let those words hang in the air, not daring to add any qualifiers, because there weren't any. Skulu's eyes grew wider, but she didn't offer any reactions.
I also need to remind you that, as your official guardian, it's also my unfortunate responsibility to discipline you from time to time.
Scootaloo instinctively tensed her muscles and gritted her teeth, but in an admirable act of self-control, she restricted her outburst to a more demure.
What do you mean?
This isn't the first time that our kitchen has been the victim of your baking attempts.
But we were sure this time we would get our cutie marks.
Rarity ignored the excuse and pressed onward.
And though as I've tried to be as, shall we say, lax about it as possible, I do expect you to clean up after yourself. You're old enough to take responsibility for your actions.
I'll help you clean it. Right now, even.
Scootaloo pushed herself away from Rarity and leapt off the bed, only to be caught in a blue glow that pulled her back.
I cleaned it already, Scootaloo, so I'm grounding you. For a week.
Rarity was careful to keep her voice even-keeled.
That's not fair.
I think it's plenty fair. It shouldn't take the threat of punishment to make you want to clean up after yourself.
Scootaloo stared intently at the ground, and Rarity just looked at her with a raised eyebrow.
And I said I was sorry.
Scootaloo said this is a final measure of protest. Hold up. Scootaloo said this is a final measure of protest, still looking at the ground.
And I forgive you. We need to be able to fight without this happening.
What are you talking about?
We have to be able to live with each other, including an occasional squabble, without you thinking that I'm going to send you away.
Scootaloo's head jerked up sharply.
What are you talking about? Families don't fight.
Rarity laughed, the sound breaking the quiet tension that had been building.
How long have you known me and Sweetie? Apple Bloom and Applejack. You really can't believe that families don't fight.
Scootaloo was forced to consider that statement. She had spent so long holding on to this idealized picture of what a family would be like that she had conveniently forgotten to consider what she knew about actual families in her life, and not just Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom. Rainbow Dash only talked about her dad, and never very much about what she had seen Dinky argue with her mother at Sugar Cube Corner. There was no reason that she and Rarity should be any different.
You really weren't going to send me to Baltimore?
She was still pondering the implications of Rarity's previous statement.
No. When I was downstairs, cleaning your mess, I swore I was going to ground you and take away your scooter and make you scrub the entire house till it was spotless. But I never once did I even think of you not living here anymore.
Oh. You're not going to take my scooter, are you?
No.
Feeling emboldened, Rarity dared to press her luck.
I know that trusting ponies is hard for you, but you owe me the benefit of the doubt.
Rarity was careful not to phrase her statement as a request. It looked like if you would, like a request. I'd like it if you. How's that phrased? Rarity was careful not to phrase her statement as a request, or if you would, a demand. It was simply a statement of fact. Rarity had demonstrated her goodwill enough that it was high time Scootaloo met her halfway, and that included not worrying that the slightest transgression was going to end their relationship.
I don't know if I can.
The flood of memories where she continually cast aside were screaming at her. The next thing she knew, she was bathed in a familiar blue light as the accompanying warming sensation washed over her. Rarity stood up and proceeded to tuck Scootaloo into bed, while Scootaloo lay still, unable to stop the happy whinny that escaped her throat.
can you try?
Rarity asked softly, releasing Scootaloo from the swaddling spell after she had secured the blankets around her shoulders. Scootaloo nodded.
I can do that.
A few days later, Rarity found herself in a psychologist's office while Scootaloo waited outside. Dr. Sunshine had come recommended by Cheerily, and seeing no reason to doubt the schoolteacher's expertise, Rarity booked the first available appointment. Despite Scootaloo's turbulent history, Autumn had done an admirable job maintaining the integrity of her medical records. Between Rarity's answering her questions and the medical records in front of her, Dr. Sunshine was able to get a clear picture of the challenges she was being presented with.
Do you think you can help?
That depends entirely on her.
The doctor looked up from her notes that had begun accumulating on a yellow legal pad.
How so?
Therapy is a process, but it's also about learning a skill. In this case, how to manage your feelings. From what you've told me, Scootaloo has trouble controlling her negative thoughts. I can teach her control, but if she's unwilling to put in the effort, then nothing I do will matter.
I see.
Rarity paused, considering whether what she was about to say next was really the best idea.
I love her, but I am forced to concede she can be quite stubborn. I fear she may not be so eager to commit so readily.
The doctor smiled, one born of years of treating stubborn children.
She wouldn't be the first. Why don't I go get her?
Scootaloo hated waiting rooms, and she frequented them enough to form what Twilight would call a representative sample size. It wasn't the old magazines or uncomfortable chairs, or even the terrible artwork that bothered her. It was the selection of toys available. She understood that waiting rooms weren't toy stores or even supposed to be fun, but it wouldn't kill them to put a little effort, and she often mused as she tried to find something to do during the intolerable period she was forced to spend waiting for her turn to see whatever professional she was here to see. This waiting room had the usual selection of toys for babies. Those beads followed a curly wire path and stuffed bears. For older kids, there was a lone Power Ponies action figure, a monster whose origins Scootaloo couldn't place, and some coloring books with a bucket of broken crayons. If anything, Scootaloo was surprised that it had taken this long. Usually new parents took her to the doctor much sooner, and when she learned that it was a psychiatrist, it didn't phase her either. So when Rarity had carefully mentioned that she wanted to take Scootaloo to a doctor a few days ago, it wasn't a big deal. As she sat in the waiting room, she reflected on how she knew the next hour of her life would play out. She'd answer some stupid questions about how she was feeling, and then she'd be sent out back in the waiting room while the doctor told Rarity she's processing a traumatic experience and she's understandably still wrestling with her emotions. Just give her some time. While Scootaloo listened at the door, since time was nebulous word, it would be a few months before Rarity brought up the subject again. But once she did, it would inevitably, "Why are you still not happy here?" But there was nothing to be done about that now, so, while Rarity went to talk to the doctor, Scootaloo busied herself with one of the less colored-in pictures of the coloring book. She wasn't really mad at Rarity, even though she spent a good portion of the morning brooding. She was just about to put the finishing touches on a picture of Daring Do escaping a collapsing temple when she heard a voice.
Scootaloo?
Scootaloo looked up to see a bright yellow Pegasus with fiery orange mane standing in the center of the room. At first glance, Scootaloo thought she looked like Spitfire, but a closer inspection revealed some key differences. Even under normal circumstances, Spitfire wore a determined sort of expression, signaling to all that she was a mare to be taken seriously. In contrast, the doctor's expression seemed to be perpetually quizzical, as though she always pondering something of great importance. She wore a pair of rose-gold wire-rimmed glasses and a silver necklace with a small crescent moon. Based on looks, Scootaloo placed her age at older than Rarity, but only by a few years.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sunshine.
Scootaloo studied the smile for any sign of deception, but found it genuine. Rather than make any movements, she just stood there, waiting to see how Dr. Sunshine would respond.
Why don't you come in?
The doctor gestured toward an office abutting the waiting room. The first thing Scootaloo noticed was the office was lined with bookcases. That wasn't unusual. Lots of doctors had bookcases in their office. But these bookcases held an assortment of toys and puppets. In particular, Skulu's gaze settled on a transparent box filled with Blockos. She looked around, expecting to see Rarity, but her caregiver was nowhere to be found. Skulu assumed she left through the door on the other side of the office. Dr. Sunshine waited until Skulu became acclimated before speaking again.
Therapy is about helping us understand our thoughts and feelings. I find it useful if a patient has a specific goal in mind. So, what are you hoping to get out of this?
She fell back to her introductory speech that she gave all new patients, but rather than respond, Skulu opted to just stare at her. The silence was mildly unnerving, even for a trained psychologist. Most patients at least waited until after introductions before they shut down.
It doesn't have to be something hard. It can be as simple as just wanting to sleep better at night.
Finally, Scootaloo spoke, but when she did, her tone was colored with anger.
You're one of those feelings doctors who want me to talk about why I'm sad. Well, I don't want to talk about it, and I don't need anyone pretending to be my friend.
Skulu figured that would preempt whatever else the doctor was planning on saying. Just because she wasn't mad at Rarity for bringing her didn't mean she welcomed the experience, though. There is one thing Dr. Sunshine disagreed with her colleagues about. It was the use of terms like typical and textbook. Ponies react to trauma in a myriad of different ways, and all of them were detailed in one textbook or another. Some ponies had been through similar experiences as Scootaloo reacted much the same way she did, becoming wary of trusting any pony. The others had the opposite problem, becoming overly attached to their new caregivers to the point where even going to school was cause for separation anxiety. Still, others reacted by becoming fixated on objects, or pulling at their manes, or developing eating disorders, so every time Dr. Sunshine heard a patient described as having a typical case of anything, she cringed. Other colleagues might have diagnosed Scootaloo as having an attachment disorder, typical in fillies who were abandoned around her age, or a textbook case of rebelling against authority in order to regain a semblance of control over their own life. Dr. Sunshine did her best to reserve her judgment until she got to know the filly standing in front of her better. Now that Scootaloo had responded, the doctor had something she could react to.
I'm not trying to be your friend. I'd like to be your doctor. Why don't you want to talk about being sad?
Because it's not like talking is going to make me less sad. Why can't we be friends?
It wasn't that Scootaloo was looking for an adult friend who wanted to talk about feelings all the time, but having been told that she wasn't getting one made her a little curious. The other doctors she had met usually said something along the lines of, "I hope we can become friends," or some other useless platitude, so if nothing else, this was something different. Dr. Sunshine continued the verbal volleying, keeping her tone even and free of judgment.
Because as your doctor, I need you to tell me what's bothering you. You don't always tell your friends everything, do you?
No.
Why not?
Sometimes we're having fun and I don't want to ruin it, so what?
That's good. That's very healthy behavior. You consider other ponies' feelings before speaking. That's something friends do.
Dr. Sunshine made a note on her legal pad.
Yeah, because I want them to like me.
The first cracks of frustration began to show on her facade. Dr. Sunshine looked up and smiled, but only slightly.
That's the other reason we can't be friends. If I'm going to help you, I can't worry about wanting you to like me, and you shouldn't worry about wanting me to like you.
Thwarted in her attempt to set her own terms, Scootaloo tried a different approach.
I don't even know why I'm here. You're just gonna tell what I say to Rarity anyway. So shouldn't I just talk to her if talking is supposed to help?
Scootaloo continued to challenge the boundaries of this new relationship. Dr. Sunshine let out a long drawn-out breath. She hadn't really expected to confront this issue so early, but just because it was an unexpected turn of events didn't mean she was unprepared for it. Scootaloo clearly had very little tolerance for equivocating, so the doctor spoke plainly.
You've touched upon a delicate issue. If you were a grown-up, you could tell me anything and I wouldn't be allowed to tell anyone, no matter what. In fact, I couldn't even tell anyone that you are a patient.
That statement wasn't strictly true, but it was close enough.
Why?
Scootaloo's genuine curiosity pushed past her standoffish instincts for a moment.
Because patients need to be able to trust their doctors, so doctors take an oath to never to tell their patients' secrets. It's called confidentiality, and it's very important.
Scootaloo nodded slowly.
Okay.
But you're not a grown-up. and not all daughters agree about whether it's okay to tell your parents what we talk about.
So you are going to tell.
Scootaloo bristled at being called a child and at Rarity being considered her parent, even if both were true. The doctor shook her head.
No, I want to help you, and you need to trust me for that to happen. So, I gave you my word as a psychiatrist that I will treat you as I would any other grown-up patient.
Scootaloo's habit of pushing ponies away again reared its head.
What if Rarity says she won't pay you anymore? I know you're not doing this for free.
Then you won't be my patient anymore, and I still won't tell her. Do you think she would do that?
Rarity's words echoed in her head. You owe me the benefit of the doubt.
No, I think she'd rather... I get better? There's a missing letter in word in there.
Scootaloo looked at the ground. From their introduction and brief interaction, Dr. Sunshine began to form a preliminary assessment of her new patient. It was becoming clear that Scootaloo's response to her past was to try and understand the motivations of other ponies. It was an understandable reaction. Subconsciously, she could figure out why other ponies did what they did. She could one day figure out why two sets of parents had abandoned her.
Good. The other thing you need to know is that I will never lie to you. Not because I'm some kind of wonderful pony, but because I need you to trust me if I'm going to be able to do my job.
She was careful to put her promise in terms Scootaloo could relate to. Her phrasing worked, and Scootaloo nodded slowly again, her tail swishing back and forth.
Okay.
You also need to know that I will believe anything you tell me. You never have to worry about me thinking you're being silly or lying. If I expect you to trust me, then I need to trust you too. No matter what you say, I will assume you are telling me the truth. Always.
Sorry. The sky is purple.
Scootaloo looked directly at the doctor for the first time. Scootaloo wasn't the first patient who responded to a declaration of trust with an obvious lie. Dr. Sunshine turned to look out the window and studied the sky.
It looks blue to me. Does it matter to you what the color of the sky is?
No, it's blue.
Scootaloo again averted her gaze. There were generally two goals Dr. Sunshine had for a first meeting with a patient. The first was to interact enough to begin forming a preliminary diagnosis. The second was to establish the parameters of the doctor-patient relationship. It wasn't uncommon for patients, especially children, to push back against the second part, and Scootaloo was proving to be no exception. Years of practice helped the doctor refine her tone for what she said next. It was firm but free of hostility or judgment.
I've worked with a lot of children, Scootaloo. I've helped them cope with many of the same feelings you're feeling. I believe I can help you, but you have to let me, or else we're just wasting our time here. Do you understand?
Well, that was the first time in a few months I've had to reset my focus, right? Am I coming through now?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Implicit in the question was the ultimatum that the doctor wasn't the one who spent her time frivolously. Scootaloo felt the hair on the back of her neck stand up, and she dug her hooves into the ground. Before she moved in with Rarity, she might have snapped at the doctor, something about how she didn't need any pony's help. But ever since this chapter of life had begun, she couldn't shake the feeling that maybe there were ponies out there, like Rarity and Sweetie Belle, who could help her not be so broken. And it really would be the worst. And would it really be the worst thing in the world to give the doctor a chance? Nothing else that would make Rarity happy, and Scootaloo was already racking up in that department.
Yeah, I get it.
Good.
The doctor softened her tone and made sure to look Scootaloo directly in the eyes.
Therapy takes time. There isn't going to be some magical moment where everything makes sense. It's a bit like running a race. You keep taking one step after the other, and then you look back and you realize how far you've come. You mentioned that you were sad a lot. I thought maybe we could start by talking about that.
I already told you, it's not like talking about it is going to make me feel better.
So you want to be happier?
Well, sure, doesn't every pony?
Most do. But like I said, it's important to have goals for what you hope to get out of this. So what if, instead of talking about what makes you sad, we try to explore what makes you happier?
Oh no, sounds like they're the same thing.
They certainly are similar, but I think fundamentally they are two different things. That's another thing we can talk about.
The doctor made another notation on her legal pad. Scootaloo didn't say anything, and sensing that she was on the verge of damaging what little rapport she'd built up, Dr. Sunshine pulled back.
But we can talk about that next time. Would you like to play with some toys? I saw you looking at that box of Blockos earlier.
Not that Scootaloo would have minded being finished with all these stupid questions, but it felt strange that she would be able to finish her appointment just by playing with some toys.
How's that supposed to help me?
Other than playing with Blockos is fun and it's important to have fun? It probably won't. I think we've done enough of the hard stuff for today. We've met each other and we talked about what you're hoping to get out of this. That's a good start. We still have some time left, so we can either sit here and do nothing, or you can help me build something. It can be whatever you like. I'm not picky.
Scootaloo studied the doctor for a second time and decided that she wasn't objectively terrible.
This isn't a trick. We can just play with the Blockos?
Like I said, I will never trick you. Here, I'm even putting away my notes.
Dr. Sunshine placed her pad and pen on the desk behind her as Scootaloo watched intently. Then she reached up on the shelf, grabbed the box of Blockos, and proceeded to dump its contents on the floor in the middle of her office. Scootaloo took a small step forward and gently rummaged through the pile of toy bricks on the floor. Didn't take long for her to notice an arc-shaped door piece.
This looks like it could be a drawbridge. Could we build a castle?
A castle sounds like fun. Where should we start?
Scootaloo picked up the drawbridge piece and placed it in the middle of a large flat base. Then she looked at the doctor expectantly, but was met with a similar expression.
What do you need me to do?
Still skeptical that she was actually going to get to play without undergoing some sort of examination, Scootaloo poked at the mound of Blockos.
Well, I guess we need some long black pieces for the walls and some square ones for the things on top.
Dr. Sunshine began picking through the pile, selecting the tiles that met Scootaloo's criteria.
They're called ramparts.
The ramparts, then. I think they should be gray.
The rest of the hour proceeded similarly, with Scootaloo calling out exactly what types of pieces she would need, and Dr. Sunshine dutifully finding them from the pile on the floor. There was a shortage of black pieces, so Scootaloo decided to make the walls both black and gray. The pair also had some windows that hadn't been in Scootaloo's original plan. At the end of the hour, they'd constructed a perfectly respectable castle, complete with a small guardhouse outside the main structure.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have today.
Dr. Sunshine called out before the pair could begin construction of a small town outside the main walls. Scootaloo set down a gray piece that was to emulate a stony barrier, wearing a mixed expression on her face. Relief, glad in the visit with the therapist was done, but traced with flecks of disappointment that her fluid castle building came to a sudden jarring halt.
Okay, looks like we didn't finish.
Dr. Sunshine rose from the floor, taking the castle with her, and circled around behind her neatly organized desk.
It takes time to build a proper castle. Even if we didn't completely finish it, I hope you enjoyed making progress on it.
It was fun, I guess, though I still don't understand why we did it. I don't think this is what Rarity had in mind when she brought me here.
If that's really important, I can ask her for you.
Dr. Sunshine opened a small brown booklet, and the word appointments imprinted on the front in gold leathering.
I'd like to speak with her for a moment, actually. Could you ask her to come see me, please?
Going to tell her what I told you?
Scootaloo's posture stiffened, just slightly.
I made you a promise that I wouldn't do that, Scootaloo.
Dr. Sunshine spoke with a profound calmness that irked Scootaloo something fierce.
I'm simply going to offer my advice, and if you already decide to continue, schedule our next appointment.
Scootaloo muttered something incomprehensible under her breath and traipsed to the main door of the doctor's office. She vanished into the waiting room, the door silently creeping to a close behind her. Roughly a minute later, it opened just as noiselessly, handle awash in a blue glow at the behest of the white unicorn that entered the office afterwards.
You wanted to see me?
I did.
Dr. Sunshine gestured to the generously padded chair immediately to Rarity's right.
Would you like to take a seat?
Oh dear.
Oh no, it's not like that. Just trying to be polite. This won't take long.
Rarity sat down opposite the doctor and absent-mindedly wrung her forehooves together.
So, how did everything go today?
She herself for the news that it somehow irrevocably damaged the filly she was charged with caring for.
It went well. We've begun to establish a relationship, and we worked together to build this.
Dr. Sunshine gestured to the castle that now rested on the edge of her desk. Rarity tried to suppress the look of surprise, but she was only moderately successful.
Castle, you, played with toys?
The doctor nodded.
As I'm sure you know, Scootaloo seems to take a long while to open up. Rather than waste every pony's time asking questions that she didn't want to answer, I thought our time would be better served giving her a chance to get comfortable.
I suppose that makes sense. Did it take?
Common knowledge to you again, she was rather guarded.
Rarity sighed. It was unreasonable of her to expect that one visit would somehow cause Scootaloo to suddenly open up.
I see.
Sometimes a pony's artistic creations can help shed some light on what matters to them, especially if they aren't comfortable saying it aloud.
Rarity immediately thought of Scootaloo's drawings of Rainbow Dash, but she couldn't see a connection between a Blocko castle and what she knew of Scootaloo. If nothing else, Scootaloo had never expressed any interest in old stone buildings.
What do you mean?
Notice what she's built.
It's a castle.
Yes, it's a castle. A fortress surrounded by stone walls to keep its inhabitants safe from any danger that may exist outside.
It didn't take a psychology degree to realize what the doctor was implying.
But a castle is also a home, a place of comfort and security.
Rarity murmured a note of approval, which the doctor took as her cue to continue.
Now, should you choose to continue with our visits, you should know that I can't tell you what we discuss. Believe that doctor-patient confidentiality applies to children, too. But I believe that, with time, I can help Scootaloo. To carry on with our metaphor, perhaps break down the castle walls.
What times do you have next week?
Well, we have 7:30 p.m. Arizona time scheduled next week here on Winchester Wednesdays.
I was really hoping you'd do that. and was I the only one getting what is it, Lieutenant Commander Data vibe from the therapist?
I don't know what Commander Data is.
I was muted that whole time, and I made a joke. God damn. Okay.
We're just going to blame it on Commander something over there.
So, yeah, there's definitely some things missing here, because, what was that Rarity line?
Yeah.
She readied herself for the news that she had somehow irrevocably... Yeah.
I'll admit that
wasn't in that line.
Yeah, I'll admit that there was that one there that I was just going to read is, instead option to gingerly stroke a Scootaloo's soft papa mane.
Rarity was careful not to phrase her statement as a request, and I'd like it if you would, or a demand.
Yeah, I'd like it if you would.
Yeah, I was going to say quotations would have been easier.
See, I love the line break in one of her lines. Because we are a family, not by blood perhaps, but that doesn't mean I love you. Any less than a biological parent would.
I noticed that too.
That was not intentional, I swear.
Wait, what? Where?
Who edits this?
On another note, this was the second to last episode. The next time we read this, it'll be the finale.
Ooh.
Oh, sweet. And then we can do something fun, like read The Hateful Eight or something.
Yeah, that'll be great.
We have that.
We actually do have that.
I still have the script in my Google Drive, but I never got around to editing it.
I mean, I only suggest it because sometimes I want to do a not French accent.
I need to post this here because I just glanced at this headline and thought it said a quick primer on the female furries.
Furies.
That's exactly what it says right there. Yep.
I thought it said furries too. Lars, we're having issues. Quick, where's the next PonyCon?
Eventually.
Well, judging by this picture, it's probably Anime Con or Comic Con, apparently.
Well, I guess that means that after I go up to Milwaukee next week, I'm going to come back and start talking about how everything's so kawaii.
No.
And when people ask me what I mean by kawaii, I'm going to say, you know, in that chain of islands out in the Pacific.
Well, you would know about those too.
Yes, I would. Book your next trip to Hawaii. Fly Hawaiian Airlines with daily routes from Seattle, Los Angeles, Phoenix, New York, and Houston.
Oh, yeah, speaking of Phoenix, if Lars, if you happen to go to that bar with all the different beers that we went to that one night, could you
Yard
ask
House.
them if they have my hat?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hi, you guys have a Weirdo's cowboy hat with a fake sheriff's badge on the front of it? Yes, thank you.
You lost your hat?
Yeah,
He lost his hat.
I lost
means
my
he
hat, and honestly, the hat itself, like, I'm not as concerned about that because the hat was like starting to get a little worn, and I can get another
Winchester. But Winchester, you lost your hat. You're not going to get very far as a Jaeger from Girl Genius.
one. I mean, you're not wrong.
What?
Wait, you actually read that one too?
I was about to say, you're not wrong, except for the fact that I have no idea what you're talking about.
Ah, Jesus. I'm just going to assume that people here read it and call it good.
What are you even talking about?
It's a comic. You Google it.
No.
Yes.
I
Yes,
honestly have a text file on my desktop that just
Power
says,
of 1 and 2 compels you, CMC.
The power of 1 and 2 came down from
"Oh
above.
God."
That does
So-
not sound like a synopsis.
And he went through the field.
So I'm sure I'm probably not the only one,
Reverend
but I
Desmond,
have a text file on my desktop that is titled "Things Larsis has said that I need to Google later."
I mean, you could just be awesome.
They're never going to get
Everything he's
Googled,
talking
are they?
about.
No, I do it when I'm bored on weekends or on flights.
Got it, never.
My favorite is when he does it in the middle of a conversation.
Wait, when he Googles things in the middle of a conversation you're having, which means he's obviously bored with the conversation you're having?
Yeah.
You mean like right now? Oh shit.
Yeah, dude, we're live. You need to Google that E621 stuff later.
Well, I did accidentally bring up my Facebook for a second there, and I was just like, "Oh,
Wait. You call E621 your face?
yeah." and Linus Tech Tips is on it, right on the front page.
You know, Linus and those furries, they just get along really well.
Well, I mean, they did do a video with Kronos,
Yeah, they did.
but anyways. So yes.
My statement stands in that case.
So, but anyways, yes. So, ugh. So, what is? Lars, I have a question. Is it time for me to plug in the fan?
Okay, so backstory on where this fan thing came from. You see, Winchester doesn't know about electricity and this phenomenon called inrush current, which is what happens whenever you turn a thing on and electricity floods the circuitry in it. So he leaves his fan on full blast. He's also used to the concept of there are 4 breakers on the giant power strip at the bottom of the amplifier rack, and usually only the top 3 are used, and there's multi-phase filtering inside of it. So even if you do a thing that dumps a lot of inrush current into itself plugged in there, it doesn't cause any problems. Well, this time, the monitor rack had an amplifier plugged into breaker 4, and he also had a power strip plugged into breaker 4. And then he plugged his fan into breaker 4, and that caused the entire system to pop. Not only that, it caused the entire system to feedback so hard that that the DL32 actually shut down for a second to handle the feedback.
Okay, I don't remember that second half, but I will just say
You
I will
shut down
just-
a whole hall's worth of audio equipment?
But I will,
Yes.
but I will just say that the guy who was from the company who owned said audio equipment told me that it was okay to plug things into there.
Well,
So
that
that's
doesn't
the-
mean he was. Yes, but that doesn't
Yes.
make you right. That just makes both of you wrong.
Exactly. I just want somebody else to come with me in my
It's
dark
probably
hole.
fine to plug something in, but did you plug it in while the fan was set to full blast on?
I
Or
didn't.
did you have
It
it set
wasn't full
off?
blast on. It was on
Question
low,
is-
but I didn't realize it was
How
on.
big was this fan?
It was
That's
this
my
tiny little
question.
Honeywell fan, but the problem is that it's a piece of garbage. So,
Oh
Ac-
yeah.
and on top of that, he's used to farm equipment, which doesn't care what you do with it, and not technical audio equipment.
By the way,
I thought you were going to say bite me for a second there, in which case I was going to have a good comeback, but okay.
by the way, that fan is only a year and a half old, and it's only been plugged in twice.
Yeah, but it's a cheap-ass
Yeah.
Honeywell fan. They're garbage out of the box.
Yeah, they're meant to be beaten, battered, and destroyed, which is why I've got one laying next to
Furries-
me, which I really need to take to the big blue trash bin.
Who
You
the
see,
fuck
furries
buys
use them.
expensive?
I do. I was to say, instead of spending $14.40 on one, I spend about $19 on a good Holmes fan.
Oh, I normally buy like industrial, like high velocity blower fans.
Yeah, this is why we're saying that you're going to bring a big ass fan. You know, the big ass branded fans there to a con, and we're just going to watch, South Central Phoenix go dark.
Like a barn fan or something.
No, I should totally bring one of our big ass barrel fans from Tractor Supply.
No, no.
I have a
big
2500.
ass
Do
I
it.
fan.
have a 2500 watt turbine fan that's meant to be used for industrial purposes. I could bring that.
I will say
It is
this, big
180 pounds, so I
Well,
might need some help.
I'm gonna give an early shout out here to big ass fans, and specifically the names of all the color options for their fans. This is for the Ergo 2.0. You can get it in That's What She Read, Orange U Special, Jolly Good Yellow, Green Eggs and Fan, Blew My Mind, Blinded by the White, Great Expectations, Silver Tongue Devil, It's Never Too Slate, Coca Ono, and Bringing Sexy Black.
Are those real?
Taking
All
those
right,
pictures.
Yeah.
I'm buying.
They
I'm
had
buying
fun with
fans
that.
from big
Yeah,
ass fans.
Here, go to that page. Scroll down.
The Argo.
No, the Ergo. The Argo is a ship from when Jason slayed the lion. After the Golden Fleece and all that.
Who do you
people that
think
were-
taught Jason how to sail?
I thought that was Garmin or TomTom, one of the two.
He was not kidding. It is on, or now it is on stream.
Oh my god, those are real. Someone had fun. And they haven't.
Lars, were you in charge of naming these colors?
No, I think Lycan was though.
It slides open when you pan over them.
Orange. Wow.
I love
that
green
is
eggs.
legitimately the names. I was not expecting that.
I gotta love the guy that came up with these names, and somebody
Green
said,
eggs and
"I'm gonna go with puns."
Okay, so how does this
Look at our
fan
name.
look? That is a big ass fan. Why do you need color customization?
Yeah,
Why
don't worry,
you
Commander.
call it
Something.
celebration?
Don't worry about us
Goodbye.
doing this. We're trying to get you guys a sponsorship. You're gonna get blown away by the money they're gonna give you.
We're gonna have so many fans.
We aren't going to have any money. It's going to fly away.
And with the rise in our
And then
advertising
we're going-
revenue, we're gonna
And then we're just going to have to turn them all horizontal, jump over them, and just
lots of their
fly
time.
there without even a hover suit.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Is we're going to get a Powerfoil X30, which sounds like or X3.0, which sounds like something you'd get from a certain website. And it's
Wait,
going
you
to
can
be
buy
out-
an
and it's-
ISIS?
Yes, you can buy an ISIS.
It even has winglets. Oh my God.
Yes. So we're gonna get those we're gonna get the Powerfoil X3.0 in the Brony Show headquarters, which I'm guessing based on the picture there is going to be a converted Costco warehouse.
Oh, we've got headquarters now. Awesome.
Oh, have
Yeah.
you actually looked at the thing? It's actually, where did he post that? I've forgotten. I thought it was lounge. Was it
Yeah, I got
backstage?
one of those massive fans, like the blackjack. It's like one of the things that you use on like TV sets. It
Mhm.
blows air at like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. Good God.
Yeah,
That's
one of those.
great. We should
Yeah, I
totally get
forgot.
an Argo to take to con, so that way we can, like, mid-concert, we can
Here,
get a hair
Winchester,
blowing
I want you. I want you to repeat after me. Ergo.
Argo.
fired.
Ergo.
Here, my Argo.
Cargo beep beep and run over all the ether bunnies.
Alicorns.
Alicorn.
I like how Lars is just losing every...
So luckily I got a way to win this. You see, my goldfish is going to eat Winchester's farm.
Oh,
Damn shame. Damn shame.
I thought I was gonna buy the farm.
Well, I tried that a few times. Apparently, it's too dumb to know how to do that. So,
I'm
Me or your
surprised.
goldfish? Or the farm?
I'll leave that up to the audience to decide.
Oh, God. And on that bombshell...
Our shoutouts?
Yes. So
Shouts to
we'll
big ass
start
fans.
with Lars.
Shout outs to big ass fans, obviously, for derailing this conversation as much as it did. And to Painted Desert Furcon for being awesome, and to Anime Milwaukee, which is coming up next weekend here in the Milwaukee Convention Center. That's Friday, February 15th through the 17th. Yes, I'm using your stream to promote other things. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry at all. And the Razor Blade for keeping me sane during these things.
Don't you mean the Black Mac?
The Void Black MacBook Pro. That's what I just said.
Yeah. Also, I love the bottom of this. Because every computer screen is different, it's damn near impossible to guarantee that the color you see on your screen will be the color you get. To see true representation, ask a big-ass expert for a paint sample.
You know what I'm going to do? 1 second.
So, no shoutouts then?
I have the instruction manual for the shit Asgard 2. And
we're
I'm
slowly
just
getting
reading
there, I think.
only the front, which is Asgard is the city of the gods in Norse mythology. Asgard 2 is a headphone amplifier. One is cool, the other is very warm. Heat is not an indication that something's wrong. That's normal. Class A amps run hot. However, it's not a hot plate for your coffee. Shit happened.
Ba-da-bop, ba-da-bop.
Okay.
Perfect. So next on to Marzi.
I want to give a shout out to Larsis, the narrator of our lives.
Is that allowed?
I'll allow it. Because I agree.
All right, sustained, Your Honor.
Was that it?
I also want to give a shout out to Signature Cafe Cups of Soup. That's it.
Alrighty. And next on to Datsmore.
I would like to give a shout out to Microtik for giving me less problems than Ubiquity all these many years. And I would also like to give a shout out to Manly Rarity. May I be able to bring you back one day.
Okay, when you said Microtik, I thought you were talking about a smaller version of Tic Tac.
Are those allowed?
I don't know if they are. I mean, I,
don't
guess
know
we could
if
have a
Tic Tac can
midget.
come any smaller. I mean, they already come in, what do I have right here? A Fruit Adventure, so I don't know if they come in any smaller than the normal size.
Alright. And next, on to Double R.
Let's see. Shout outs to the joys of therapy and the joys of speech. Yeah. I know. I'm just a wild card, am I?
Kind of.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't have anything interesting to say. It's either not to what we read or just venting.
Alrighty. And next on to Skyrays. Or not.
Awesome. I like that shout out.
Skyrays is dead.
Well,
Okay.
Did his
Oh,
mic
Look who had
die?
to restart their program.
Hello, you saying Skyrays? I would like to give shout out to Deathsmore because he is so good.
Shout out to
Oh, no.
Narcissus and Datsmore and Marzi for showing up. It's nice to have a pretty big crew for reading.
Yay.
True, very true.
I'm special.
Oh, you're very special, Datsmore. We knew that already. I'm surprised you haven't taken medication for it.
Could you say he's a rarity?
He's a rarity. There you go.
Wait. Even better.
Aww.
Even better.
Are you saying? Are you saying we're gonna have great expectations of your opinions?
Probably
well,
not,
orange
but
you
sure.
special.
If you don't stop, you're gonna make me throw out my green eggs and fan.
That's what she read.
I'm so glad that
like
Lycan wasn't on this episode. But okay. And finally on to CMC.
As I started the stream, negative shoutouts to the Steam event system not allowing event posts to be going out. Because I tried doing that on Monday, it didn't work, and I tried doing it today, and it didn't work.
Well,
It's
we need a better
annoying.
distribution platform than Steam. Let's try Twitter.
I
Yeah, you're right. Too esoteric. Friendster
I have
it is.
access to that. It's just trying to fight Twitter with logins from different locations is real annoying.
Well, if only I had somebody to manage my Twitter. Where to go.
Anyway, so shoutouts to fires, LOE, Roan, explosions, venison jerky. I feel I missed a word in there. My usual things.
You need to stop drinking before the stream, dude. It's unhealthy for you. We all notice.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. Your goldfish told me to drink some of the aquarium water, and it's not good for me.
You drink some of the aquarium water? You realize that stuff's laced with exotic particles and vodka, right?
Exactly.
That explains a lot.
Exotic vodka. Did somebody mention exotic vodka?
Yeah, I was gonna say, except there's one problem. CMC's actually turning into his pony over there now.
Okay, so what if I threw in some bits of Kahlua and cream inside there?
No.
We tried that once already, and Venezuela happened.
What? What?
Are you sure it was Venezuela and not a plethora of vuvuzelas?
Yes.
Alrighty, so before we go and create a new continent here, let us get on with everything else. So, speaking of everything else that goes on the Brony Show Network. So, Thursdays, I don't know if Silent Blast still does his thing. I think he still does over on his Twitch stream, so go check that out. And then, Fridays, we have the Roan RPG stream. And then, Saturdays, I don't think anything's going on at the moment because Gaming Meltdown is hiatus, definitely. And then, Sundays, we have Circuits Let's Play. Mondays, we have the Equestrian Flag Stop. With the Brony Show afterwards, where you can catch up on all your Brony news, and the after party where you can have some fun with some funny videos. Tuesday, I don't think anything goes on, and then Wednesday at 8:30 Central, we have the wonderful world of Winchester Wednesdays, where yes, we do things, and we're gonna have to get to work picking the next reading. So yes, by the way, just really quick, on a more serious note, before I end stream, I wanted to mention, if everybody can pop over, I saw a thing today, if everybody can pop over and give Odyssey some love. He's been having some issues, and yeah, apparently he's come up some short, or some money short for his apartment, so if any of you have any extra cash to spare, feel free to pop over to him and throw some change his way. So I know he would really appreciate it. He's like one of the best freaking guys in this fandom. So yeah, but yeah. So please, if you feel like doing that, he's been doing streaming. Yeah, go find his stream at twitch.tv/Odyssey Eurobeat. But yes. So, without further ado, I think we're going to finish this off here. So, everybody say goodbye.
Adieu.
Bye-bye now.
Then.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for showing up. It's been fun. This is Winchester 572 going 10-7. I'm out. Bye-bye.